What's going on, beautiful people? It is I, your flying locomotive and faster than a speeding bullet SuperCliff, coming at you live with a brand new video. So for today's video, it's another edition where I talk about some delicious books within the fantasy sci-fi genre that have some of the dopest openings that I've ever read. So yeah, a part 2 if you will. Now in terms of how I classify fantasy and sci-fi, it's pretty basic. You have the obvious things like magic and made-up realms in fantasy, and in sci-fi, you got futuristic concepts and technology. So yeah, don't expect me to have a quote from a book like Trump, The Art of the Deal, just in case you're wondering. However, before we get into my part 2 list of some amazing fantasy-esque openings, if you are new to the channel, then smash that like and subscribe button. That way you guys never miss out on anything that happens on this majestic channel. So what are you waiting for? Let's raise the bar and go full on Super Saiyan. Hit that subscribe button. Thus, without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have The Blade Itself by JoeAbercrombie. Logan plunged through the trees, bare feet, slipping and sliding on the wet pine needles, breath rasping in his chest, blood thumping in his head. He stumbled and sprawled onto his side, nearly cut his chest open with his own axe, lay there panting, peering through the shadowy forest. When it comes to first law and its world, let it be known that if you happen to live in this world, then your life sucks. JoeAbercrombie has crafted a relentless world that has 0 second chances. It's very Game of Thrones, but times 3,000. And with this opening line, we get a taste of what's to come, that we're about to enter a world that is rough and unforgiving, and filled with blood and violence. So yeah, The Blade Itself, definitely check it out. Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. He had many names. Although yet to reach his 30th year, history has seen fit to bestow upon him titles aplenty. Sword of the Realm, to the Mad King who sent him to plague us, the Young Hawk, to the men who followed him through the trials of war. Darkblade, to his Cumberland enemies, and, as I was to learn much later, Barrow Shakar, to the Anatic tribes of the Great Northern Forest, the Shadow of the Raven. Anthony Ryan, in my opinion, is an extremely underrated writer. Bloodsong is an excellent book from beginning to end. The opening definitely provides an in-depth synopsis of who the main character is and how the people occupying this world view him, given the fact that the prologue isn't told from the main character's perspective. It's really dope how the intro showcases to us, without wasting any time, that this man, the dude with many names and titles, well, he's clearly a badass. And yet when the book begins its story, we flash back to the past where the character begins his training, his military career. To witness growth from a scared boy to a now Greek hero with dope-ass skills, it's incredible, and it gives us the reader the promise that we're about to see the rise of Valiant Sonora. Next up, my wonderful people, we have A Game of Thrones by the Grim Lord himself, George R.R. Martin. The morning had dawned clear and cold, with a crispness that hinted at the end of summer. They set forth at daybreak to see a man beheaded, 20 in all, and Bran rode among them, nervous with excitement. This was the first time he had been deemed old enough to go with his lord father and his brothers to see the king's justice done. It was the 9th year of summer, and the 7th of Bran's life. Check it. Without any knowledge of what A Song of Fire is and what the Game of Thrones is all about, you can read this and be like, okay, like whatever. However, once you realize that this fantasy world isn't just, and that the king's justice is complete horseshit, you start to see the subtleness of how incredibly written this opening was. The morning had dawned with a clear and cold crisp. That sounds beautiful. Sounds like Narnia, but that's what makes this series so good. It subverts your expectations of what you're expecting and tells you to hold on to someone's beer, as they shatter everything you thought you knew about high fantasy. For our 4th book, we have the first book in the Gentleman Bastard series, The Lies of Llore by Scott Lynch. At the height of the long wet summer of the 77th year of Sundovini, the thief-maker Camor paid a sudden and unannounced visit to the eyeless priest at the temple of Parashandro, desperately hoping to sell him the Lamora boy. In case you don't know anything about this book, The Lies of Llore is about a group of elite con artists who call themselves the General Bastards, and basically they rob the rich in the city of Camor, which author Scott Lynch based the city off of medieval Venice. This book has a familiar feel to a Guy Ritchie movie, a lot of wit and a bunch of punchy edits to help provide some context, yet still make it all feel fast-paced at the same time. This book goes into the origins about the main character, Llore. Now for me, This opening, there's an epic feel to it. No, not a worldwide epic feel, but rather something more intimate, more character-based. A similar feel to the early MCU movies, something like Iron Man 1. It's like, yo, just you wait, reader, because you're gonna end up loving this character and this world of lies and deceit and cleverness. Strap your seatbelts for Locke Lamore's origins. Side note, does anyone know when the 4th book is supposed to come out? Because it's been a long time. And last but not least, we have the horror epic itself, It by StephenKing. The terror, which would not end for another 28 years, if it ever did end, began so far as I know or can tell, with a boat made from a sheet of newspaper floating down a gutter swollen with rain. Say what you will about the book's adult sections of it and that insane origin sequence, but in terms of what this book contains, its themes about overcoming past trauma, standing up to fear, there's an innocence imbued in the opening that is telling us that what we're about to witness is sad, yes, but also wildly fucked up. There's a reason that StephenKing gets his books adapted for the big screen. His writing is able to paint a perfect picture, and therefore is able to make you, the reader, feel like Georgie, enjoying life as a child, but when an evil demonic clown shows up, bam, we're smacked with a loss of innocence. And we realize that this world is dangerous, but also very scary. Basically, what you're about to read will haunt you from childhood to adulthood. No matter the age, that horror and fear will always haunt you. Also, fuck clowns. So yeah, as always, I'm your majestic sayer of words, SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite comics, books, and whatever else is happening in this creative world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on these books? Do you agree that these openings are fantastic? If not, tell me why. And if you know of any other books, within the fantasy sci-fi genre that should be considered to have awesome opening lines, let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace. Giggity goo.